At first when I came, I didn't feel that I'm in England. At first I saw a mosque and so many Asian people around and so many different people. So I felt that I'm somewhere in my own country.
Communities in Slough are catered for more like they would be in a large urban population. As you know, we have a large number of mosques, gurdwaras and temples in Slough.
When I came here, I got to know a lot of Asian, I have a lot of Asian friends, and I didn't have that before in my life, earlier stages of my life.
When I came to England, was for me, shock was a lot of people from outside.
First, where I came from, we were like one community, one people, one language, one religion, let's say, and it's all very, very similar. Coming to Slough, we've just seen the diversity of Slough. There's people from different communities, different faiths, different cultures. I think this is the main thing, is the differences, the diversity of Slough. That was a big difference for me.
Normally you wouldn't find this in a town the size of Slough, and I think it's testament to the cohesion of the communities in Slough.
For a town that could have significant cohesion issues, it seems to be a fairly cohesive place.
Well, I moved here from rural Devon, and as you can imagine, the makeup of the two communities were very considerably different. A very, very, very white British community in Devon, and a very, very mixed community here. However, I don't actually think the word shock is the right word. Yes, it's a very significant difference in terms of the makeup of the community, but actually a very welcoming and very interesting and very stimulating place to be. So I wouldn't describe it as a shock at all.
The biggest shock for me was CCTV cameras, you know. Back home, I never saw those.
To find how freely the people from, the females smoked and how they smoked in public, I found that a real culture shock, because where I come from, women didn't smoke so openly.
I was 5 years old when my parents moved to Slough, and we went to school, and previously I had been in a Polish school, and all of a sudden all the children were speaking English, and that was a real shock, because I didn't know. I knew toilet and please.
It's different, like language. First of all, we face the language problem, communication. It's major problem, and the second thing is the way they are living way, and everything is food, culture, living way. Everything is different.
Since I came here from the so-called third world country, which is Zimbabwe, I noticed with concern that when you come across an elderly person in the streets carrying maybe a heavy bag or something, you might think in your mind, I have to offer some help. But personally, I've noticed, or I've learned with a great shock, that here in UK, it's not permissible to do that, because once you do so, you'll be deemed to be maybe a thief or something.
I remember one of my friends. When we used to live in one house, and he was counting his money, and he was thinking even the alarm is the CCTV camera, and he put his socks to cover the CCTV camera. Then he count his money.
I think food is another way of language, maybe. That's what I think, because a lot of people use food as a way to communicate as well. So, for example, the Somali food is very, very, very simple. There's not many Somali restaurants or any of that in Slough, but it gave me the chance to experience other foods.
It's an expression of someone's culture, I think, not necessarily their faith, but an expression of their culture in the cuisine they choose to eat.
Going back to the early days, I never realised that English people ate different food, because my parents would grow. They came from an agricultural background, so in the gardens we kept our own chickens, we had our own food. And even then in the 50s we had a Polish shop. So I didn't realise we had different food until English children started inviting us to their house, and then you sort of looked strange. And when the English children came to our house, they said, "What's that smell?" Because we had garlic, sausage, cabbage, boiled things, and the English children just couldn't believe what we were eating.
Particularly like us Somalians, we have something like the way we cook the rice is different. The way we mix the rice with some vegetables and that is different.
So actually, I used to eat in Poland a lot of homemade food, which one prepared my mother, and here I think I eat a lot of fast food.
Fast food was like a priority. Anybody can just pass and do well. Back home, the question of having a fast food was difficult because we know it's a question of lunch, dinner, not really. Fast food is not something that was very common.
Indian food is like chapati, vegetable, and vegetarian food like something. Here is different like bread and small meals.
It will bring us together, that's true, because as we live in a community, as I interact with my neighbors, Asians, people from Africa, people from other parts of the world, in the European, you find they've got different type of food and the recipes that they prepare. So as we interact, as we want to eat their food as well, that will bring us together, that will bring us to have this integration as a community.
On the sides of women, they are almost going naked when it comes to summer, which we are not used to in where I came from.
Not so much of a cultural difference or an ethnic difference, but sometimes whether one is clean, ironed and dressed in a formal way as opposed to not clean, ironed and dressed in a very scruffy way. Those things people find more of a challenge to cope with, but as long as we can accept everyone needs to be treated in a similar, positive way, no, I don't have a great issue about how people dress. I do think sometimes, certainly in a formal work situation, people need to dress with respect to themselves and respect to the people they got to deal with.
When we come here, we have seen, the girls wearing short scarf, and sometimes in summer, most of them, some of them they don't wear whatever, and we had a little bit, the shocked, and we say, why do those people that are wearing some of them short clothes or whatever?
Here the people are free as whatever they like they can wear, but in our country we have to wear a scarf, and it is too different because we have to have a hijab when we're going out.
I think it comes into the whole stereotyping. A lot of people, they just get driven by the look without understanding what's behind the look.
Yeah, the burqa, not the Sharia, but the hijab, but the burqa. I think that one can, in a way, put off like a lady. Like if I met a lady and she has covered herself completely like that, we might not communicate properly.
And depending on that culture and depending on that faith, that sometimes shapes how we interact with other people. And how at ease we are in accepting other people's views and other people's different faiths, different cultures. So I think that lies at the very heart of the challenge that is making a cohesive society and maintaining cohesion.
If you know why these people are dressing up in a certain way, it's because of their culture, religion, whatever. And we have to obviously respect that, which is really crucial. Otherwise, if we just, stereotype people just based on their image, is totally wrong.
My experience, I never saw some religion offend me or or my religion offend somebody else. So I think if we go a little bit away from politics, all religion are saying the same thing. You have to be good, you have to think good, you have to behave good.
What is good to me can be an offense to someone, but truly speaking, it's a challenge. It is a challenge. I don't know how to put it. up to now, I'm still puzzled because there are things that people practice as cultures and they seem it to be a good thing from their country of origin. But when you come and try to practice it here, it tends to be a challenge, it tends to be something that is not acceptable.
If you want your religion to be respected, you have to go and respect other religions first. So it's all about, what you want for yourself. It should be the same for others. Respecting. If I want people to respect mine, I have to respect theirs as well.
Having our own church where we could pray in our own language and have our own services was one of the reasons why 25 years ago we bought some land and built our own church to Divine Mercy.
I think through Christian values, I've been able to be shaped to be a responsible person, and I think that's why I still profess it today. I profess it today.
There are stereotypes of belief that certain communities work very hard and that certain communities are good at certain things, whether that be intellectual pursuits or sporting pursuits, but they are stereotypes.
People work around the clock. There is no day or night. You find both day and night people are working, and everyone is busy working, and unlike my country, whereby you find sometimes, people are not, that busy with their work, or maybe you find most people, they work during the day.
I believe that people should be looked at not by culture, but by purely on merit and what they can deliver on the job.
I think in England it's much easier, and if you want to be politically correct, it doesn't matter about what nationality, what ethnic group you are. If you are good with some things, you get a job and you can get well paid.
At the workplace, I think we had a lot of opportunities. In Somalia, it's very difficult to get a lot of jobs. I think the only to work with government, and here there is a lot of opportunities, and I think in certain the work in here we feel secure and more an opportunity to get a job in here.
We came together and we celebrated. So in that spirit of celebrating, we tend to be one in the spirit, and so many things can be spoken out. Some ices can always be broken by supporting sport.
By taking part in different teams, different supports, everyone coming together to support one team, or taking part in a support made up of people from different backgrounds. But the most important thing is when children grow up in a multicultural society, they learn and appreciate these different things, and it brings them all closer together, and taking part in support makes them more tolerant towards each other.
It can on occasion, and when we look at some of the say football hooliganism, can also create risks of driving communities apart if it's not channeled in a positive way. But I think we can use sport as a positive measure to bring young people in particular together, to bring them together doing something collectively positive, to introduce a little bit of rivalry, but on the safety of the sports pitch rather than in a more aggressive format.
We had an event last year at Dorney Lake, for example, which pulled together students from various different schools and from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds, and was a real success in trying to get people to just open dialogue really and see people as equal. And we're repeating that this year and extending it to include as many different groups as we can. So sport, I think, for me personally, sport is a real big opportunity to break down barriers.
So in a place like Slough, I would hope that people relate to being part of Slough as much as they might relate to being part of a particular community in Slough.
To me, it is people living together, working together, intermarriage, doing business together.
All the peoples get together and they have to discuss with each other about their religion, about their dresses and about their culture.
All different people from different religion or different countries, different cultures. We need to respect each other.
It really describes how different communities and groups come together and get on well together.
I think it means integration, means unity, means involvement.
But I respect you from the very fact that you are an individual, you are my neighbor, and you are a human being. That is what ought to work.
Respect that difference and use it as a building block, but for that bigger community.
It's about respect for yourself firstly, and your right to express yourself freely, and about respect for others' right to do exactly the same.
Slough is like a rainbow